And welcome to another exciting edition of Best MTG Decks Ever. I'm your host, Joseph, and today I am bringing you Aurelia, a Boros commander just out, brand new, and she's pretty nifty. Let's take a look at this deck. Starting off with Aurelia, the Law Above. We've got 3 colorless, 1 red, 1 white, an angel, flying, vigilance, haste. We've got 2 abilities on here. Whenever a player attacks with 3 or more creatures, Moi draws a card. Whenever a player attacks with 5 or more creatures, Aurelia, the Law Above deals 3 damage to each of your opponents, and you gain 3 life. So what I did was I built a deck that has 50 creatures. It's mostly creatures, and we use kind of three things to further the agenda of the deck. We've got hate bearers, we've got additional combats, and we've got forced combat, or like goading stuff. What we want to do is obviously cast a bunch of creatures and then start attacking, thereby drawing more cards with Aurelia. The hate bearers give us a stacks feel, which kind of slow our opponents down, make it harder for them to cast spells and do other things. And then the forced combat will allow us to get procs off of Aurelia from our opponents. So like when they attack with 3 creatures, we're drawing cards on their turns, or possibly doing damage and gaining life. So I'm going to start off with going over instants, artifacts, and enchantments because there's so little in the deck. Our instants basically comprise of nothing but things which protect our board. So Flawless Maneuver makes our creatures indestructible. Boros Charm makes our permanents indestructible. Grand Crescendo will make all of our creatures indestructible, and we'll also get some tokens out of it, which we can use when it's our turn to attack and get draw procs off of our commander. For artifacts, we've got a bunch of mana rocks. We also are running Catcher's Monument so that we can create extra tokens whenever we cast creature spells. For enchantments, we've got Ghostly Prison, which is to prevent people from attacking us. Tocassia's Welcome is a draw mechanic, so we're casting creatures with mana value 3 or less. We have a lot of them, and we'll be refilling our hand with that. And Assemble the Legion just creates a ton of tokens so that we can be using those on our turns to get free draws from our commander, while also maybe leaving some behind in order to block. Now, to the bread and butter of the deck, we've got creatures. Esper Sentinel is just a good card to have. He gives us draw. Ragavan is good simply because he can create treasure tokens, and also it's some sort of like a faux draw in that we can steal cards from our opponents. Dockside Extortionist is always good for just doing a bunch of treasures. Drath Magistrate is one of the best stacks pieces in the game. Grand Abolisher is good for protecting ourselves on our turn. Loyal Apprentice will create a token. The token will have haste. This has haste. If we have our commander on the board, 3 attack, we draw a card. Selfless Spirit is great because it will not only allow us to proc draw from our commander, and it's flying, we can also sacrifice it to make all of our creatures indestructible. Skynet Vanguard creates tokens so that we can get draw procs. Thalia is just a good hate bear because it'll slow down other decks that are casting non-creature spells. Boromir is great because it has this ability: whenever an opponent casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it, counter that spell, which is good. And then the second one and then the second ability is really great. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. We've got cards like Combat Celebrant, which are going to allow us to get multiple combats per turn. And with multiple combats per turn, we get multiple draws per turn. If we're attacking with 3, we get a draw. If we're attacking with 5, then we get the draw, and we do damage, and we heal. Goblin Spymaster is a part of that forced combat. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, that player creates a 1/1 red goblin creature token with creatures you control attack each combat if able. So this is going to make all of our opponents just have to start attacking. We can get lots of draw procs off of this. Imperial Recruiter is very important. We can grab essential hate bearers that we need out of the deck, or we can grab something nice to protect ourselves like Selfless Spirit if we don't have any of the other spells for giving ourselves indestructible. We are running a bunch of things like this. So Archon of Absolution makes it to where people can't attack us or a Planeswalker unless they pay 1. That's the same with Baird Stewart of Argive, as well as Windborn Muse. Fireman Commando is real interesting, a good fit in this deck. Whenever you attack with 2 or more creatures, draw a card. So if you've got this and the commander on the board, if you attack with 3 creatures, you're drawing 2 cards. Whenever another player attacks with 2 or more creatures, they draw a card if none of those creatures attacked us. So this is basically like forced combat in a way. I mean, they don't have to do it, but if everyone wants to draw, then they're probably going to do it, and they're probably not going to attack us. Fumiko, the low blood, is real great. Creatures your opponents control attack each combat if able. It's going to be getting us a lot of draw. Winota is going to be a house in this deck. So we've got a lot of humans. I think we've got something like 25 humans, and our commander is a non-human. So if we get Winota on the board and we can attack with the commander, Winota's going to get the proc, get a human out there, and then just keep on doing nasty stuff. And then just a good finisher, we've got Moonshaker Cavalry. Moonshaker Cavalry reads, Moonshaker Cavalry enters the battlefield. Creatures you control gain flying and get +X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. So if we've got 10 creatures on the board, we cast this, they all get flying, they all get +10 until end of turn. That's pretty much game. So I hope you guys enjoyed this deck. Pretty simple deck, easy to pilot. You just slap down hate bearers, get your commander on the board, start drawing cards, and you just keep doing that, getting extra combats, getting more draw, slapping more stuff down on the board, doing a couple of forced combats to get more draws, and you just keep on furthering the agenda, filling your hand with stuff, casting more creatures, and eventually you can win the game. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.